Hi there, I'm Andy Robertson and this is Family Gamer TV. Welcome back to Family Gamer TV. This week I'm back with Tim to find out what he's been playing. Now I hear you've been on Forza, but Forza 4.
Oh, it's so lovely.
Yeah?
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, but is it better than 3?
It is actually better.
Yeah.
I've gone on twice just to look at the garage.
Okay, there's more cars?
There's more cars. You've got more interactivity because with the Connect thingy thing, the bar,
Yeah.
it looks at your face. So you'll start off down the track and think, oh, the graphics are still really nice, and then you'll move your head and go, oh my goodness, because you're looking around and it doesn't like veer you off so you can't see what the track is, but basically you can look round. That is really
Yes, you like that. Because I remember we first talked about it, this head tracking,
I didn't like the idea
and you were a bit like, well, how do I see
no.
the screen? But so that's a winner.
It does really work.
Yeah. Okay, and so there's some other things about Forza 4 are it can also be controlled just by steering.
We've got the steering wheel that doesn't attach to anything, so there's no USB cable or anything, so you're just standing in the room with the wheel, which my dad freaked out at, and it glows on the end, so when you've got your throttle on, then it glows here.
Yeah. So. So if you had to choose controller, wheel or Connect steering, what's the best?
I'm wheel at the moment.
Yeah, because I guess with the wheel, it's just got much more information. The game's got more to go on because it's got that fine.
Yeah,
I was so impressed with the Connect steering that it works.
Yeah, it is really good.
The nice thing about that is if you're more of a novice racer, that it does the acceleration and braking for you. So all you have to worry about is the steering.
Yes. Yeah.
But you haven't got all the gears and.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Now, another Connect game I know Mia, your daughter, was enjoying, or was she, was the Sesame Street Once Upon a Monster. Now, it's had a lot of positive press because it's from a really well-loved developer, Double Fine, and they for hardcore gamers, they create these really nice little experiences, and what they've done is not only created a Connect game, combined it with Sesame Street, and done something for kids. So, has it worked?
It was very easy to start off with, and straight away she got into it. There's like a book that opens at the start.
Yeah.
And it waves at you, and so instantly she's like, "Oh right, I can interact with this," and she starts to see how the game works.
He thinks you're funny because you're copying him.
Marco is afraid of curling and jumping.
When Marco says jump, he jumps.
And then it rolls on a bit more, and then you find actually there's like a mini challenge thing which you have to do.
Oh, the bit where you're going through the forest.
That's it, yeah.
Collecting the balloons, yeah.
So there's this foresty bit, and you've got to do various things, actually achieve different things. Nothing terrible happens if you don't do it, but she found that really quite tricky.
Lean over. Lean.
Yeah, for me the thing there is I expected to be able to move left and right in front of Connect to steer, but what you actually have to do is tilt. I remember watching Mia play it.
I bet that's
her instinct was to move left and right rather than to tilt. And also then with both of us in front of it, it worked a bit better. No, but the game as a whole, I love the storytelling and I love the way it's very seamless. That rather than telling you, oh, what you need to do now is put your hand up and wave to start the game. Yeah. Cookie Monster or whoever Elmo will appear and wave at you, and just instinctively, whether you're an adult or a child,
you have to wave
Elmo's
back.
waving, well, I'll wave back, and then you're into the game.
Yes.
So there's none of this sort of heavy-handed stuff that you get in some
and it looks
games.
great.
Yeah, they all look they look like proper puppets.
Yes.
So it's got a lot going for it.
Yeah.
And I think probably what we're saying is it's aimed for younger kids, and really young, like I reckon maybe sort of 4 or 5. Because it's that sort of level, it's quite repetitive. It's more like a sort of CBeebies experience than say CBBC.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm really interested to see how well it does at retail. But as you go on, you get these different chapters, and the storytelling itself is really good. So we'll see how the kids go.
Yeah, we'll have to persevere a bit, I think.
Yeah. Welcome to another of my family gaming segments, the moment in the show where I get to answer your questions. Now, this week we've got a question: how young can children start playing video games? Now each year I look at the games that are released and I try and pick some for the Family Gamer Awards. Now these are games that aren't particularly or necessarily the best of their kind, but are the ones which I think are really well suited to a particular age group. So in answering this question, I went back and had a look at, well, what games have we said are really good for infant gamers? And we're sort of looking at, say, 3, 4, 5-year-olds there. Now, one game I often and like to recommend is a slightly unusual one. On the PlayStation 3, there's a racing game that's been a long-standing franchise for them, but really with hardcore gamers. It's called Wipeout. Now, it's a space racing game where you control a little spaceship around a very convoluted track. But this works really well in its third iteration on the PlayStation 3. You can download it via PSN for about £5–6. And for really young players, you can turn up the auto steer really high. It uses the 6-axis tilt control so they can steer very easily. And they can race in split screen fashion, so they've got half the screen to them, maybe half to someone else, a parent or a sibling. And they can really race and really hold their own because the game is really assisting them. And actually, my kids found that much easier than starting with something like Mario Kart. Now, another game that's very good for really young beginner players, and again we're looking at sort of 3, 4, 5-year-olds, is a game on Kinect called Sesame Street Once Upon a Monster. Now, this is quite interesting because for a lot of older players and maybe more hardcore players, there's not that much to interest them. And it's almost a bit of frustration. But if you've got an adult and a very small child playing it together, the game lets them cooperate and actually looks at both of them with the Kinect controller, so both their motions are controlling what's happening in the game. Now, the game itself is based around the different Sesame Street characters, and each one you meet has their own story. And it's just a very natural interaction. So rather than trying to force you into doing a particular motion, when the game starts up, you'll see Elmo and Cookie Monster waving at you. And so a small child just naturally waves back. And that's just a really nice way in that game that Kinect is all set up without having a big tutorial or heavy-handed menus. And the game sort of carries on like that. It's got a very light touch. It looks really nice. So it's something which should be really engaging to really young players. Now, on the Wii, you think it'd be much easier to find a game, but actually a lot of the Wii games using the Wii remote to point in quite a detailed fashion at the screen just aren't suited to, say, a 3, 4, 5-year-old. It just doesn't have that sort of dexterity. But there are a couple of games on the Wii that I really like and I always recommend. The first of these are the Diego and Dora games. Now, there's a whole series of them. Each of them follow a different adventure. And they're platform games, but you control them just by tilting the Wii remote left and right. And by doing that, you control the character moving on the screen. So rather than pressing a button, you've got a nice gesture. And to jump, you just jump. And there's loads of different actions that you can mimic in the game, like shaking a tree or digging. So it's basically a really nice way to take a well-known sort of genre of game, platform games, and make it really suitable for very young children. Then on the DS, again, it can be quite hard to find a game that doesn't have too much dexterity involved. And one that we've looked at in the past is Pack and Roll. And this is based on a Pac-Man game. But rather than using the D-pad to control where the little Pac-Man's going, it's all in 3D, and you just use the stylus, and all you have to do is swipe on the bottom screen, and essentially you're just rolling this little Pac-Man character around a maze. And as you do that, you have to avoid ghosts and collect the power pellets and stuff. But it's simple enough for a very young child to play. My kids really enjoyed that, and that's one of the first games that my daughter played. She was probably about 3½, 4, and could really easily handle that. I guess what I'm saying here is, as long as you've got a game that's suitable and the child's enjoying, and the child can enjoy it with other members of the family, I think 3 or 4 is fine to start playing video games. And we've been given an Xbox 360 and the game I mentioned earlier, the Sesame Street Once Upon a Monster game, to give away as a prize on this show. So to enter, just leave a comment on the show page, and make sure when you do that, you do it via Twitter or via Facebook so we can contact you if you're picked as the random winner. That's all we've got time for this week in Family Gamer TV, but we'll be back with more episodes and more games soon.